how it counts down. All right. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Reinvented. And today I have my guest, Different. Was it?
It is.
I'm really bad with names, so we're going with it. But today, what is your career and like a little bit about yourself?
Cool. Well, first off, thank you, Kayla, for having me on your show, and shout out to everybody watching and listening. Definitely, you guys check out and hit subscribe and follow her channel. But to give you guys a little background of me, my name is Different. I'm an author, motivational speaker, CEO of my own small business, travel influencer, YouTuber, you name it. Yes, my name is Different. Again, it's so Diferent. And so, again, happy to be here, share my story, answer some questions, and just, rock out with you, girl. Be reinvented.
All right. So to start with questions, what do you think most people misunderstand about you?
I am a tough chick, but I'm not really always hardcore. Like if I give you, the chance to get to another soft side of me, take it, Um, Also, I guess they say I'm just mean and rude. I don't think I can be. I can't say some rude things at times, but being a Sagittarius in me, and anybody who knows a Sagittarius, we'll say it. We'll tell the truth. We don't mean harm to be rude, but sometimes it just comes out that way. But trust me, you'll know when I'm being rude or mean on purpose. I think that's what most people misunderstood about me.
Yeah. Do you have like what most people call like a resting bitch face? Like I feel like I have it too. I feel like people always try to tell me I thought you were mean. I'm like, I mean, like, I can be, but
I didn't understand it early on. I'm 32 now, so it took me just about over 10 years to understand what people were saying about my face and my personality. And it never, because when things are normal to you, you don't notice the difference or what's the problem. However, just over time, I've noticed that my face is just naturally, I'm naturally a no nonsense person, first off. And even in my kitty pictures, in my school pictures, I never smiled, and it just wasn't me. I just came from a no nonsense background. Like I didn't have time for games at all, and so I just always, it was always about my business in school, especially in school. And so when kids would try to come and play with me, and if it was time to, do business, I wasn't, interested. And so at times that would often get me pegged as, a mean person or a prude, if you will. But no, I'm very fun. I love to travel. I love doing fun and crazy things. I'm very adventurous, but I'm also about my business. That's what my mother has taught me. Rest in peace. But to take care of my business first, and then be about partying afterwards. And so coming up, I just was a serious person. It was about my business. I had to be.
Do you feel
a resting bitch face as well? Like, why do people say that about you? You seem pretty nice and innocent to me.
Yeah. Do you feel like a lot of your business has to do like career wise, like taking care of your career first, like maybe making those sacrifices, I guess?
Yes, it was like that for me. Again, in my 20s, I was very, very just all about my business, screw love, screw hanging out with friends, and just, focus on me. And I guess it had to be like that for me coming up in my background. I had a very tough upbringing, I guess, when I was 11, I ended up homeless on the street for 3 years, living literally from pillow to post, sleeping everywhere from bus stops, cars, shelters, sleeping in parks. At one time, even slept at a crack house. And so you can imagine being 11 years old, being out on the streets and dealing with real world things. And mind you, beforehand, I was a Girl Scout, jump rope for heart. I was a regular, normal, happy kid. And just all of a sudden, my childhood just ended and had to grow up. And mind you, I'm developing, I'm having, ass and titties, I don't mean to be vulgar, but as a young woman with a young age and being overly developed, you get approached a lot by weirdos. So that often coming up and, just I had to be tough. I had no choice. I'm a woman, I'm short, and, some people will see me as an easy target. And so in order to not be seen as an easy target, you have to sometimes harden yourself. And that's just what I grew accustomed to. And then, by my mid 20s, late 20s, it just started to hit me. Whatever I went through as a child, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my, it wasn't my fault, but it was my problem to deal with. And I need to go and heal and fix. And so that's just what I did. But in essence, answering your question, yeah, that was just how it was for me. But it's better now. In my 30s, you get to see when you have experience in life, you get to look back and see, the things that you've done wrong and what you can do better. And so that's the good thing about learning and growing and moving on with life.
Do you ever like do you ever feel like people like maybe get like I guess mad at you like for the way maybe you act because of maybe like past trauma like from maybe from your childhood, maybe from like young adulthood, maybe like how you were brought up, like do you ever have
I
people
would
who are
say,
like that's not normal or
I would say, well, some got mad, but like how you said it, it was just a misunderstanding. I felt misunderstood. People didn't know me, and I didn't know how to express or articulate myself and tell what was going on. And not only, being spending 3 years on the streets living homeless, at the age of 14, I was secretly placed in foster care by a relative, and nobody knew in my family where I was for 6 months. And it wasn't until I had found out from another foster kid that if I stayed in the state of Texas, if you age out, they'll pay for your tuition to college. And so by the time my family had found out, I was in the system, they were trying to get me out. I let them know, hey, I'm gonna stay because I'm gonna use this opportunity to go to school. Because if I go back to you guys, I'm pretty much stuck where I am. So there was, I say that to say this, although I had went through, a traumatic childhood, there was a blessing in disguise because when I graduated, I ended up going to college. I went to Sam Houston State University. I got my degree in international business. I got the opportunity to travel abroad. I went to South Korea and Daegu, and that there started my travel book. I ended up going to 8 countries while I was over there, and then when I came back, fast forward 10 years later, 50 countries traveled, and I have my own business. I got my master's degree. I'm doing so much better. And so sometimes when we go through hardship in life, it's only to prepare you for the best that's yet to come. And it molds you that way so you can be appreciative of it. So when it comes, you won't squander it. And so that's exactly how I feel about it now. But looking back on it and when I was going through it, oh no, I didn't understand it. I was like, oh Lord, get me out of here, please. Just like everybody else, I was going through it and facing depression. And that's one thing about mental health. It does not discriminate. It doesn't care what color or skin you're in, female, male, gay, straight, mental health, it does not discriminate. And so every opportunity I get to come on any podcast, I love advocating and pushing for mental health awareness and wellness. And so for anybody out there that's listening and watching that's going through any type of mental stress, anguish, or illness, I want you all to know that it's okay to not be okay, but don't ever sit there and not be okay. Go get help, whatever they may need to you, be it talking with a therapist, a family member, a friend, picking up a hobby, mending broken bridges, cutting people off, even getting on, psychological medication if you need to be. Again, do whatever it is that you have to do to keep yourself and your mental health in check and not going off the deep end and possibly taking anybody with you. And so anybody who need or if you know anybody that may need these mental health resources, please feel free to share with them. The crisis hotline number is 1-800-273-8255, or you can text or call 988, or you can text 741-741. And for those that would prefer to online, you guys can check out mentalhealthishealth.us, or you can visit 988lifeline.org. Or anybody out there that's international and watching your girls' podcast, Miss Kayla's podcast, you guys check out incounseling.org. Again, incounseling is spelled ENCOUNSELING.com. And remember, you guys, although I am giving you these mental health resources, you have to remember it is on you to do your own homework and your own research and find what works best for you. Because at the end of the day, you're the captain of your own ship and you decide where to navigate the waters, not anybody else. Lastly, when it comes to mental health, I want you guys out there listening and watching to know that whatever trial and tribulation that you guys are going through at this time in life, this too shall pass. And so you will get through it. So therefore, going off the deep end is not an option. It's not worth it. So therefore, don't do it. Okay. Now, I don't want to say too much on mental health, but if whenever I get the chance, and I definitely like to push for it because I know it's somebody out there's listening and it can save their lives. And so that's definitely what it did for me, keep my mental health in check. It also led to me, writing a book and starting a business. And so it's power in healing, your mental health and keeping it check. And so anybody out there watching, please, look at me as an example, listen to what I've been through and how far I've come and where I'm going. The best is still yet to come. And so my motto is my business, Third Eye Entertainment LLC, is manifest, plan, prepare. And so I tell people that to no end. Manifest, plan, prepare for whatever it is in life that you want, and it will surely come to you guys. And when we break that down, manifest is, when I say manifest, it means, removing all doubt, all fear, all the naysayers in your mind and replacing it with affirmations, believing in yourself, seeing it before you receive it. Next step is planning, writing down what it is that you want to achieve, like getting it out on paper, having more than one plan, exit plan for when things don't go your way. You can't plan for the unknown, but you can expect that it is going to come. And again, remember, whatever trials and tribulations that come your way, please know that that will pass and you will get through it. So weather that storm and let it make you and mold you into a stronger and better person. Now, when you move on to the preparation side, that's a little bit deeper in details of it. What I mean by prepare, that means fixing yourself from the inside out, getting your house in order mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. Like I said, cutting people off of me, mending broken bridges, getting yourself in order before whatever it is in life that you're manifesting and planning for it comes your way. So therefore, when it comes to you, you can be prepared for it. You will know how to handle it. You won't squander it like how I did. I had a lot of opportunities coming my way in my 20s, Kayla, and I just squandered it because I, felt like I didn't deserve it. I wasn't worthy of it. I had one opportunity, I had a meeting with a multimillionaire who just was well connected in Houston, and I let those demons in the back of my head get to me. You're not better for this. Your country, they just take a pity on you because you're a foster kid, yada yada yada. And I ended up, purposely going late to that meeting, and it left a sour taste in that person's mouth, and they didn't want to work with me afterwards. And so for years, I just sat back, dwelling on that and just regretting that. And then one day I just had to look myself in the mirror and just say, hey, whatever it is what you went through in your past, and wasn't your fault. You were a child, and out of your control. But as an adult, it's on you to go fix. And so that's how you and everybody out there listening and watching has to look at life when you're going through things. You can't expect anybody that hurts you or that just did you wrong or bested you to fix and mend that broken heart. It's on you to do whatever it is that you have to do. Think of it as a nasty breakup. You sitting there thinking about the person that hurt you. Years and years pass, and that person's moved on with their life. They moved on 2, 3, 4 times. Next have 3, 4, 5 exes after you, and here you are sitting there dwelling on that person. And so you have to know and understand and accept that you have a right to move on and be happy with your life and not stay stuck in the past, but it's all on you. You have to make that choice and be willing to accept it. And so that's what I had to do. And so once I did, things that I wanted in life started to come a little bit better for me. Now, again, I'm not perfect. My life isn't perfect. I am still a work in progress, but my life is so much better than what it was in the past. It started with getting my mental health in check and getting it in order. And so if it's any type of message that I can bring out here before this end of this episode or when it airs, is that, there's power in healing and taking back your power from anybody that has hurt you in the past or any letdowns or disappointments. Own it, go back and deal with it, and then heal and move on from it, and then go get what's yours, what you truly are meant for in life. And so I feel like I'm talking too much. I can be long-winded. My bad. So feel free to jump in and ask questions.
No, you're good. I was
Yeah.
gonna say the only thing I think I'm gonna jump in with is when you with like also with the suicide hotline. I guess I had my own experience.
Mhm.
But I will say, like for anyone watching, they do come and or they don't like they'll like call you back like maybe the day after to like because
Mhm.
I did text message so
Yeah,
but
yeah,
uh they do kind of like check in to make sure you're okay and I
yeah.
mean sometimes like especially at the end of just like leaving something really hard it can be relatively like difficult but
Definitely.
know that sometimes you just have to find the right people but that's all I was going to add. You were doing great.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you are right about that. And again, that's why I say find what works best for you when it comes to getting your mental health in check. Because what may work for some may not work for others. But again, you have to just know and accept that it's on you to take control of your ship and keep your you're the captain of your ship until you decide where to navigate the waters. And so if you and I also tell people this, if you know that what you're going through is a problem and that you need to fix it and you don't want to fix it, then it is your fault. It is on you. You know, you sit there and you recognize the issue and you're taking it in. You don't want to fix it, then you're part of the problem if you don't want to find a solution. And so anybody out there that's listening as well, that was my problem too. I knew that I had an issue and didn't want to get up and go do something about it. I was like, oh well, that's just how life is. It's no point. No, you have to get out of that mindset. You have to free yourself from that psychological and mental bondage and just say, no, I get out. I'm going to change my mind and reprogram my mind. That's also a part of it as well. You have to reprogram your mind. And so once you do that, hey, anything in life that you want, it'll come to you. It may not come overnight, but it will surely come to you. I guarantee.
All right. If you have a favorite childhood memory.
Hmm. Um, well, definitely would be one with my mother. When we would go, I'm from Houston, and so we stayed by, the Gulf of Mexico or close to Galveston, and so we would often go crabbing. And so, or going down to the beach, probably one of the fondest memories of my childhood. Um, I tell you what, one of my fondest memories of something is when I had always wished and used to write on a Christmas list to go to Disney World. And years later, I was able to take my mother and my nephew on a trip to Disney World, and we just had a blast. I turned into a big kid, and it's one of the fondest memories I have with my mother. And I guess the second way, talking about my mother and as well as with mental health, I recently, she passed away in 2021. That was one of the hardest years of my life. I had lost five people back to back to back. Two of my grandfathers. The first one, he passed away and he died on the bus, and nobody knew that he was deceased until after, a couple hours. And the second one, he died from emphysema and COVID complications. And then I had two friends pass away from COVID. And then my mother, she died in my arms the day after Christmas. And so, um, even with that, I knew, and I promised my mother to not go off the deep end, and that also entails with keeping my mental health in check. And so, me talking about it and expressing myself, it helps because I know somebody out there who's going through the same thing I'm going through, and it lets me know that I'm not alone, and then I will get through it. And so, anybody out there grieving, somebody that they love and lost, it's important to grieve healthily. That's what I say, grieve healthy grieving, and that's in tune with getting your mental health in check and either talking with somebody. Doesn't necessarily have to be a therapist. Talking with a family member, a friend, even in a journal, talking to yourself. As well as, I also want to say, don't let money be the reason why you don't keep your mental health in check or you can't, get the type of the appropriate help that you need. There are a lot of resources out here for you guys and for us, if you will, I'm included as well. And so you just have to, again, get online, do your research, and find what works best for you. They have a lot of, Facebook groups and support groups on Facebook. They have a lot of free, resources online, as well as I know in Houston, they offer some free health mental resources to where you can go and actually talk with a therapist, either free or at a low cost, just depending on what your, tax bracket is. And so, again, don't let money be the reason why you don't keep your mental health in check or you can't afford to keep your mental health in check. I know a lot of people would say, well, a therapist costs too much, or I'm not going to pay some guy, some girl hundreds of dollars just to go hear me talk. I'm not going to do that. Okay, that's understandable. But again, don't let that be the excuse or reason why you don't, keep your anger or rage in check, or you don't take care of your depression issues. And so, I just want to also put that out there as well.
All right, let's see. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
I don't know. Well, definitely nothing bad. I don't want to be infamous. Of course, everybody wants to be remembered for something great, but I guess just being an example. I'm not a perfect person. I've had a rough and tough life, and I've done plenty of mistakes in my life. But God has blessed me to do and be able to live a blessed life, and I just want my life to be an example of how God can take you from the back to the front. I don't mean to give religion, because I'm not a religious person at all, but I do believe in God and higher power, and knowing that who I belong to and whose I am. And so, with that being said, if what I want to be remembered by is a person who made a lot of mistakes, in life, but still was able to, live a good life and do great things, and then people, looked up to, not as a super person, but somebody who was normal and made mistakes, but still got the job done. You know?
Yeah, I think I feel like that's what a lot of people like to be remembered for.
I don't want, because I'm not perfect. I'll never be, but I do want to, live with purpose and make a difference in this world before I leave.
Yeah, I honestly think it's important to just I guess inspire the next generation or the next person.
Yeah.
That's definitely I feel like that's how I think of things. Just inspire the next person, either by watching podcasts or
hmm
anything, like that too. I would
Yeah.
say.
Can I ask, what made you start a podcast?
Yeah, so I've had like a few. I don't know if they were so much failed or they're just I had a good idea but didn't execute it very well. So I had
hmm
so I do comedy work at in different open mic stuff like that. So I do comedy. But so
Cool.
I did a podcast that was supposed to it was a good idea on paper. I just don't think it was executed very well because it was
hmm
kind of like stand-up comedy on a podcast, but it was
Hmm.
I didn't execute it very well at all. So I kind of I don't know if I so much gave up on it. It's just kind of I didn't really, after a while I wasn't really liking the material, and especially at the time I was going through a lot of things. I was even with my business too, there were a lot of things going on. I wasn't liking what I was putting out there. So I did
hmm
a little bit of a rebrand. So I got rid of that podcast. And
hmm
then I started my soccer podcast. And then I ended up give it was kind of in a dead season, so there was no soccer season, so there was nothing to talk about. But I recently relaunched that one too. But I decided one day I'm I've always wanted to really do a podcast. I'm what can I do that can still make it maybe funny at times? I'm that, but also kind of goes with the person behind. My idea was the person behind a performer,
hmm
um, singers, actors, comedians, anything like that. And it was because a lot of people look at these types of people and are oh, must be who they are, and it's is it? So
Right.
I'm so when I did my first guest, because I'm I want guests on this show because it's not fun watching the same person over and over and over again by themselves. And I feel like that was the problem with my first podcast. So I was okay. So I found a bunch of Facebook groups, and that's inevitably what I was doing was getting the message out there, and found some pretty cool guests. And I'm I didn't think of it as a I didn't think I was going to find different types of people because I was being so specific and looking. But I had
hmm
from authors, business owners. I think I've got some life coaches. I'm
Cool.
so I'm let's open it up because I'm it is kind of hard to find like performers on a podcast like one, because like not everyone is. But I was like, let's open it up. And I think we found something.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna say it's just kind of like it is kind of nice to open it up to different types of people. So I literally pretty much take anyone.
Well, don't take anybody now. You can't do no, don't do that. I was saying, I reckon have you get you can mess around and get anything. Don't want that. I had made a mistake one time, and I'm not judging. I was in the beginning of doing interviews and so eager to get on anybody's podcast, and it just so happened, and I wasn't worried about asking the name and asking the details. It's what caused me to learn my lesson. And comes to turn out that, and I'm not judging. Again, that's what everybody beliefs and practices are in life. That's them. But if it ain't for me, it ain't for me. And ended up going on this podcast, and turns out that it's and it's a I hate to even say it, but it was it was a podcast in dedication to Satan believers, the satanic cult. And I didn't know in the beginning. I didn't ask questions like I should have, and was just so eager to get on somebody's podcast. And when I seen the little background and the backdrop and the guy all in black with the black makeup, and I just hit the end button. Didn't even say a word. And so be careful with that. But I do recommend Podmatch is a good.
I do think the sound just cut out. I do. Wait, oh shoot! I think the sound. Hang on. I don't know why it's cutting out. There it goes. Wait. There it goes. Yeah, the sound just cut out. It cut out, and I was like, uh-oh.
Oh.
There we go. Okay, if you want to repeat what you were saying. I was like, this sounds just like when I was like, uh-oh, like me.
I don't know where I cut out it. What last person you heard?
That the advice of I like, is it Podguest? Was that what it was?
Podmatch. There's a good website to go to and check out if you haven't gotten a chance. They have some pretty cool podcasts that I found. I'm pretty sure you'll find some good, cool guests. But yeah, that's funny that I asked that question, because when I first started out, I was teetering between doing a podcast or a YouTube channel. And I was just doing my research and seeing that even though it does take a long time to build, YouTube would probably be more better fitted for me because of what I've offered or what I bring. With my YouTube channel, I do motivational speaking, I do social awareness, I do my podcast interview, I do pop culture reviews, as well as I do my travel videos. And so with my YouTube channel, that's why I try to direct all the traffic. But I'm also starting to seeing the trend and the power of TikTok. And so I'm finally started joining the wave and learning TikTok videos and how to put together TikTok. How do you feel about it?
So for like YouTube, so I started a YouTube channel back when I think I was 17. Yeah, I was 17, and like channel is still up, and a lot of like what happened, I ended up like just making a new page, so I'm like rebuilding. Mm-hmm. But I made my first page when I was 17. I think I was going into like my senior year of high school, because I was like, I had always wanted to make videos, mm-hmm. but I was like I could never do that. I'm too awkward. But I made one, and I made my first YouTube video, and I loved it. And at first they were just kind of random, like those ones you see of like, oh, what's in my backpack, or oh, what's in my like my day routine, like because morning routines were really popular at the time. I think mm-hmm. they still are, but I think it took like I think like 4 years to grow it, and I think it's at like now it's at like 500 subscribers, but it took a while
Mhm.
to grow it, and so and then but I think what made it grow was my TikTok. Um,
Mhm.
and a lot of people, would probably say like when this is posted that it was due to negativity,
Mhm.
but they still followed. So I'm like, okay, but you're still growing my page.
Right?
Like,
That's the thing about it. Whether if they talking about you good or bad, they're still talking. And so, how are you on TikTok? You said how are you doing it with like TikTok and promoting videos? Like, I have yet to post a video because I'm so scared. I don't know what to do.
so a lot of like what I started doing, like when I first had my, like when I first started my TikTok pages, I was in beauty school. So I did a lot of makeup videos because at the time, like I wanted to be like a freelance makeup artist.
Mm,
Because I loved makeup. Like I wasn't someone who's like, oh, I look much better with my makeup on, like one of those
mhm,
people, but I just like I liked to do makeup, but like I got a lot of like hate because people didn't like my looks, and I'm like, okay, well, it's not for you then. But
mhm,
I had one video blow up, like 'cause it was like a popular sound, and I
mhm.
thought it would be fun, and like it was a video like what I've learned from creators, like, and other creators have said this in their videos, is the ones you don't put a lot of work into.
That blows up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what I want to start doing is posting my travel vids on TikTok because I noticed like a lot of travel vids and ASMR videos. They get a lot of hits, and so I'm trying to figure out how I can put that in. But like you said, yeah, TikTok is a good little tool to build your YouTube channel, and so that's where I'm at with it in my business and trying to build. But good advice.
Yeah, and then I also like there's like popular sounds that you can use. Like sometimes what I would do is what was most currently on my TikTok, like the sound that like
Hmm.
was most popular showing up, usually roughly means it's like trending for you. Like
Hmm.
it's like a trending sound. I just would use it for any random video sometimes, like because sometimes
Hmm.
like some of those trends that those people were doing, it's like why would I ever do that? But so
Okay.
like sometimes popular sounds can help too. And obviously TikTok's algorithm changes so much that it's like it is sometimes really hard to tell like so obviously it does take a little bit of time because I don't feel like for TikTok people are blowing up overnight as they were in
Oh,
like 2020.
I don't think that'll happen either. But it's the one thing I've learned is all about consistency and just putting out content. And so even if it's short, long, medium, it just doesn't matter. Just post something. And so and eventually something will start to pick up. And so that's where I've also learned too. But I'm still scared. Because
Yeah,
for me,
like
I'm too into the details, and I guess I am a perfectionist. I want it done right. I want it to look neat and look like I know what I'm doing. But like how you said, it's the ones that that you don't put in much work into is ones that get the most views, and so I got to remember that.
and even I was gonna say like it may not be the one you put the most like that you don't put the most work into. It's the one that like looks like you didn't put any work into it. Like
Okay.
the ones that you can tell aren't like, oh, this is perfect, like outline pretty. You're just like it's those ones that like even if you put a lot of work into it, because a lot of people will notice like fine details because it's the internet, right? Like they
Mhm.
notice like, oh, like what's that in your background, or like what's that like, or what's that on your floor or something. It's like they want to know the fine details, like they're like Sherlock or something. So so
Started out well. I'm looking to make a debut on next month. I keep saying I'm gonna do it next month, but we'll see.
yeah, and I will say it won't. You probably like won't like get like the most views like right away. It just especially like because in 2020 and like when TikTok was first blowing up, everyone could make a video. It's like, oh, I got like 1,000 views. Like I got a lot of views, or they would get like a lot of followers because what better thing do we have to do than make TikTok dances or like stuff like that? That's a lot of like what that was.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. So, what other Q&As you got for me?
Let's see. What's an insult you've received that you're proud of?
Hmm. I'm kind of proud of all my insults. If they, like I said, if they know what they're talking about, you doing something right, right? So, um, I guess one would be from Facebook. They deleted my account back in 2021 when I initially published my book and was advertising it. I have a book called "What If: A Controversial Paradigm Shift." It is a book, that's written to encourage and inform thought-provoking conversations about injustice in America. And this is done through graphic and provocative illustrations. And the point of this book is not to rub people the wrong way. It's to get you to come to the round table to have those conversations that need to be had. And often, swept under the rug and turned a blind eye to. And my point of this book is to push for systemic change instead of dwelling on systemic racism. As a Black woman in America, quite frankly, I'm tired of talking about racism. I like how, we're sitting here talking, just having regular conversations, just being two people, not looking at, each other's skin color. And although I did bring up this topic, it's because you asked the question, what am I proud of? I am proud of this because, when you're pushing for change and they're trying to stop it, that's when you're doing something right. And so with this book that I have here, I'm not going to too much advertise, but I'll show you a little bit of it. Again, it's on my website, differentcaldwell.net. What if a controversial paradigm? If anybody wants to go and check it out. But I am proud of this book because it's not only just about Black and white. I pay homage to Native Americans, Muslims, LGBTQ community are included. Hispanics are included. Everybody's included in this book. It's not just about ruffling feathers. People. Again, I've written this book again to push for thought-provoking conversations. And the way that I've set it up is in four main paradigm shifts. I have historical, political, precedent, and hypothetical. And for those that are mature enough and have enough common sense to make it through the first three paradigm shifts and understanding where I'm coming from, they will see with hypothetical that it's not just about, rubbing in the faces of, how Blacks treated white in the past or dwelling on how things are going now in this time with, police brutalities and shootings of unarmed people in America. Is more so again about pushing and creating for systemic change. What if we all came together at that round table and had that conversations that need to be had, and stop judging one another from how we look and when you're walking past the person on the street and getting to know each other like how we are, having these conversations. What if, that may be, and I understand that, not change doesn't happen overnight. It, takes more than one person, grinding and complaining about the issue, So with this book, and it is my hope, for those to go and check it out, give your reviews on it, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. That's the point of it all, is to have that conversation and get that ball rolling, even if it goes nowhere fast. Nothing beats a failure but a try. But what if, Kayla? What if this is a generation that plants the seed for the next generation for us to walk together hand in hand instead of when we see each other on the street, we automatically passing judgment. Not just from the white side, but from the Black side too, and from all sides. And so that's, you asked that question, what's an insult that I'm proud of? Facebook, they didn't like how I was promoting the book. They felt that it was being, a little too abrasive, so they deleted my Facebook page. Okay, but hey, it's still out there. People know the book. It's, getting reviews. People are checking it out. And so what is real will prosper. So in things people try to stop and block, that in your heart that's what you're doing, even if they may feel the same, as long as you feel in your heart and what God has put on my heart to follow, then I will forever be proud of it and have no regrets about it. So I'm proud of that insult of having my Facebook page deleted. So for those that are interested, again, go to my website, differentcaldwell.net, and check it out, as well as you can go to my YouTube channel and you guys can check out the book trailer. I don't want to get too much into it because that's not what I don't want this to be about. But you asked that question, but that's what I'm proud of.
Yeah, like I feel like with like any social media app, like they just like to like shut things down. It's like that wasn't even like mean, or it wasn't like I'm like I've had like so many times, like I remember when I first started like TikTok videos, like because you had like those haters who like spam
Oh
report your account,
yeah, they're out there.
which like
Oh yeah.
happens anywhere, and it's like, but instead of like looking into the problem, like, oh, okay, why is this account being reported so much? Instead of looking into it, they just go, okay, banned. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
did you even look? I'm
No,
like, did you
and
look?
but that's what motivated me to keep going. 'Cause, once you see, people, you got haters out there that's trying to stop you and block you. That's when you know you need to keep going harder. You need to keep pushing and don't stop until you get to where you're supposed to go in life. And that's just what I'm going to do with this. Whether again, if people agree with me or not, and that's one thing I learned from the previous. I say number 45. I've never said his name. I always say number 45. One thing I learned from him is that you go where you celebrate it and not where you tolerate it. No matter how you may feel about him, he still had, over 25% of the U.S. adult population still riding for him. There's 75 million people. And so obviously something what he was saying was sticking with a large amount of people. And so that right there shows me no matter who you are, no matter what you believe in, no matter what you promoting to the public, it's going to be somebody out there who's willing to buy it. So do you. No matter what it is, even if it's a rinky dink podcast, a shoddy YouTube channel, or a crappy book, you do your thing. It's going to be somebody out there that supports you and love you no matter what.
And even like not even so much like buying stuff too. There's someone who's always willing to listen,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
like, oh, I go through the same thing. So that's one thing I always loved about doing like content creating was
Mm-hmm.
at least someone like could see that like, yeah, I'm not like them, or like some people I'm not like them, but it's like it's okay to be awkward and put yourself out there. Like I was like, that's who I am. I am like I genuinely say that, like if you meet me in person, I am probably going to be really awkward if you come up to me like, I love you. I'm not gonna know how to respond to that.
I like to say I grew up a nerd, like a bookworm, and was proud of it. And so, however, I tell people, I'm a nerd and proud. However, I'm a nerd from the around the way. So if you bully me, I bully back. And so coming up, that's why people kind of, like I said, misunderstood me and thought I was mean because I didn't want to be nobody's punching bag. So I had to turn into the boxing gloves, if you will. But like that goes and tells what I say, be who you are and never be ashamed of it and always be proud. Because no matter who you are in life, it's going to be somebody out there that's going to ride for you no matter what. And so love
Yeah,
your weirdness and your kookiness and nerdiness and all that. I know I do.
yeah. I mean, like I always tell me I'm like I love it, but like sometimes I'm just like some people like always like would rush up to you, and it's not. Sometimes it's not like not a lot of people, but it's always like, oh, I love what you do, and it sometimes like it's like, oh, it makes you feel kind of good. Like I
Hmm.
remember, I remember leaving like my last job. Like I have a day job, but I remember leaving my last job, and like I left it because it started to become kind of toxic. Like, and I was like, okay, I need to find a new job. Like for one, I wasn't making a lot of money from it. I was like, I guess I wasn't broke, but I was getting borderline broke,
Hmm.
and it wasn't something I was super used to. But I left that job like, and I found a better one. But I remember like a lot of the people I worked with, they were like, how are we gonna find someone who does what you do? And they're like, and who helps us? I'm like,
Hmm.
it made me feel good. I was like, that made me feel a lot better about the situation than just, like just up and leaving.
Yeah.
So, but
Good.
that's the story I tell people.
Uh-oh. Keep hitting my camera. Sorry about that. Hold on. Oopies.
All right, let's see here. What was your favorite subject in school?
Ooh. I tell you, it wasn't math. Hated math. Still trying to figure out how to apply the Pythagorean theorem to my life. I liked it history and reading. I think if I wasn't such of a businesswoman, that probably would have been my major literature. Um, yeah, so history. I was a spelling bee girl. All elementary did spelling bee, high school UIL. So yeah, that was probably one of my favorites. Um, but I tell you what, my not favorite was math. Mm-mm. You know, I was good when it comes to money and counting. That geometry. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I like practically failed geometry. I was like this, like I was borderline failed. Like I was like I got like a D in the class, but I was like this close to failing because
I
like
was mostly
I don't know what it was with geometry, but mm-mm.
I was an A and B type of student, but C's the where the C's came in was when it got to like math, like 11th and 12th grade, because I was like, nah, bro, I'm not going to college for math, so it's no need for me. As long as I know how to count and nobody play me when it comes to money, then I'm good. But I don't know. I enjoy school. School was an escapism for me. That was my way out, if you will. You know, I didn't have the looks of a model. I didn't have tall legs. So I couldn't play basketball or volleyball. And so education was my key or my little, route out of my situation. And like I said, when I found out that the state of Texas paid for, your tuition to college, a light bulb went out in my head and I had to use my street smarts to elevate my book smarts. And I just made that decision to, stay where I was and deal with what I had to deal with, and make no mistake about it, foster care sucked. Spending 4 years being shuffled around, place to place in different schools, it makes you into a person that you don't want to be. I often, was very, off-putting. Used to feel like I had to lie about my lifestyle because I was ashamed and embarrassed that I was, a foster kid. Um, but even in such, education was my escapism. I made sure not to get in trouble at school. I did my dirt when I came home. Everything. If I ever got in trouble, it was at home. But with school, that was like my escapism, especially like when I was living on the streets from ages 11 to 13. That was just my little safe haven, as well as the library. It still is today. I love going to the library. And so I loved it, when I was coming up, as well as even now as an adult. Still never too old to learn, and that's why I say keep learning, keep going, and expanding your mind, because you can learn something for so many people from all different walks of life, no matter the age, the color, background. So I love learning. I'm a lover of education.
Yeah, I definitely like I feel like I had a different experience in school, but I also like I went to technically two different high schools. Like I graduated from a different one. Like so my freshman sophomore year I went to one high school, and then I intentionally asked like because my like at the time we were like moving and I didn't have really much of a like stable home life. Like
Hmm.
we there wasn't it wasn't like, oh, like this is our home. It was more of kind of crashing on people's couches per
Yeah,
se. Like you still paid rent, but like it wasn't home feeling. And I don't really like tell people that part of my life, but I remember
gotcha.
like when we finally like kind of got more of a home space, it was I asked, I was like, when we do move, I'm like, can I transfer out of the said high school I was in? Because I always tell people like nowadays, I said, I don't think I think I would be in definitely a lot different place in my life had I stayed at that high school.
Mm.
Because it really wasn't very good high school. Like there was just like a lot of drama, and I always used the term like fake rich kids, like because like it was like they had like land. So if you had land, it meant you were like well off, and it's just like so it was like that kind of toxic. But I
Um,
remember. But the high school I went to that I actually graduated from definitely a lot different like culture because it was more out in the city. And so I'm from Portland. So what most
okay.
people like don't realize about Portland is how sometimes it can be a bit unsafe. If anyone's ever been to Portland, people are like, well, like our city isn't great either. I said I think that's pretty much every major city, at least in
Mhm.
America. But
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes sometimes you just don't want to go outside. I'm like, or because there's could be like homeless people run around doing whatever. But I'm like, so it was definitely not like it. I don't know. I don't want to say like ghetto type of but that's what a lot of people called it. So that's what I'm gonna say. But
It is what it is.
yeah, like, but I would say I would much rather would have done that high school. But like I'm glad I graduated. I just like high school was such a rough time, and I
Mhm.
also like went through a lot more trauma. But I definitely don't feel like education obviously is important. Like you want
Mhm.
to graduate, but like I didn't I'm like as long as I get by, I'm like I think I'll be fine. I think I turned out somewhat decently fine. That's what I like to
Definitely, and
say.
I felt that same way too. I wasn't trying to be an Einstein or the smart girl. I just wanted that was I for me. I knew education was my only way out of my situation, and what may work for some may not work for others. And so again, that's why you have to run your own race, Kayla. And so I'm proud of you, man. You made it about your situation, and you're doing a lot better than when you was. And so you be proud of yourself, man. You're a warrior, you're a soldier. Look at you, you're queen. You're a boss. And so you be proud of whatever it is that you went through in life. It made you a stronger and tougher woman. And you don't have to ever go back to that. And that's how I look at it. What I went through was very shitty. Uh, I made that decision. Both of the situations I had sucked. Foster care sucked and being on the street sucked. But if I would have stayed on the street, I wouldn't have graduated. Probably would have been a teen parent, high school dropout, living from paycheck to paycheck and who knows? And so sometimes, when we go through life and trials and tribulations, even though you're feeling in that situation, oh man, why am I going through this? What have I done? Just have to know that it's making you and molding you into the stronger and better person that you're meant to be in life. Even now, for you, the best is yet to come. You still on your way, and even if you don't feel it now, it's coming. Like I say, manifest, plan, and prepare for it. Even the secret desires of your heart that you felt that you were unworthy for if it wasn't for you at that time, it's time for you to go back and get that shit. What the pandemic has taught me and what I've learned, losing people in my life back to back is that again, that is a reminder life is short and tomorrow is not guaranteed. So again, whatever it is in life that you feeling that you're destined for, manifest, plan, and prepare for it, and go get that shit. You don't sit back, wishing and wondering and waiting. They say if you have faith, faith without work is dead. And so you can have all the faith that you want, but if you don't get up and put in the work and the time and keep your tools sharpened and start getting out there and connecting and making those connections with people, then it's gonna go nowhere fast. And so whatever it is in life that you feeling, even in the secret desires of your heart that you can't tell anybody, you're too afraid of feeling that you're not worthy of it. It's time. Period. Point blank. I tell people, either they come up like Cardi B or they come back like Robert D. There is no more in between.
So like, how do you feel like when people say like, how do you feel like when people say like they manifested something into their life?
I'm all for it. That's my creed and mantra in life is manifestation. I have learned the power of That's what made me realize and believe that manifesting was real when I manifested my worst nightmares out of thin air, out of a thought, just thinking about it. And I thought about it so much to where I started picking at it and then going picking and talking to the person about it, and then boom, before I knew it, it happened. And so that taught me if I can manifest the worst thing, my nightmares out of thin air, then just imagine what I can do with my wildest dream. No limit. And again, it may take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to face setbacks, disappointments. At times, you're going to feel like, man, I want to give up. Man, I need a break. And you may need some R&R. That's okay. But once you have that R&R, you get back up and get back in the game. But then you just don't give up. You do whatever it is that you have to do, but don't give up. And so for me, manifestation is my life. I've manifested this life for me. When I was a kid, I used to say, I'm gonna travel the world, knowing I'm from the ghetto. I'm fifth ward, don't have any money. How am I gonna do it? I didn't know how. I used to just tell people, I want to travel. I'm gonna travel when I grow up. And look at me, 50 countries later. I've been all over the world and seen wonders of the world, done, dance to dance with the Maasai in Africa, then skydive, you know, zip line at 30,000 feet upside down in Peru, and I would have never imagined this, if when I was 11 years old, sleeping at parks and sleeping at crack houses, sleeping with knives under my pillow, having to keep, one eye open literally when I sleep. I never would have imagined that I'd done that in that time if it wasn't for manifestation. And I didn't start getting into, manifestations and as well as I'm into chakra healing also and learning about astral projection. And I didn't start getting serious or that bug wasn't planted until I started traveling or I went overabroad to South Korea. And I guess if you want to call my little Asian boyfriend, but he is the one who put that bug in my head, about manifestations. I didn't really get serious about it then until years later, but that's where it started for me. And so the power of manifestation is real. What you speak out of your mouth comes to life. And so I've just taught myself, reprogram my mind to start speaking words of beauty. And even if at times you don't feel like what you're going through in life is going to, get better, be quiet. If you can't be positive, be quiet. Don't say anything negative. Don't let any negative words come out of your mouth because it's a possibility that it can come to life. And so if you can't be positive, be quiet. And you can even be real with it. If you're going through some things, you can say, yeah, I'm going through it. It's messed up for me right now, but I'm going to be all right. I'm going to get through it. I'm a boss. That's what bosses do. We handle it. And so there's power in the tongue. And when you speak what you say out of your mouth, that's what manifests into itself. So be careful what you say. Only speak words of beauty. And if anybody's speaking down on you, you turn a deaf ear to Belonious words. That's all I have to say when it comes to manifestation.
All right. So I'm gonna close with this question. Where can listeners find you online? I'm pretty sure you've already said it, but just in case.
Definitely. Definitely my website, differenceworld.net. Again, different is spelled DIFERNTSWORLD.net. That's differenceworld.net. You can check out all my social media handles, including my Instagram, my Twitter, TikTok, as well as my YouTube channel. One of my main channels I like to drive all my traffic to. You guys can check out my YouTube videos, my motivational vlogs, social awareness vlogs, my podcast interviews I do, uh, pop culture reviews, especially my travel vlogs. If anybody wants to see and live vicariously through me, life of travel, definitely go to Different Caldwell YouTube channel and come and learn. That's my tagline, come and learn about you girls. So, yeah. And again, I just want to take this time to thank you, Kayla, for having me on your show. I definitely appreciate the opportunity. And everybody out there listening and watching, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, as well as go to my YouTube channel and like, share, comment, subscribe. And don't forget what areas of life that you guys are feeling you're destined for. You have to manifest, plant, and prepare for it. And then it will surely come to you guys. Difference well. Come and learn.
And then is there anything you want to end the show with? Like anything new coming up in your career life in general?
Well, I'm right now. I'm working on some things. I got a couple of irons in the fires for next year. I'm just gearing up. My biggest project right now is just getting my videos ready to debut on TikTok. Like how you stated early on, going back to the drawing board and trying to figure out where I can, I guess, hit the restart button when it comes to, promoting my book and just getting the word out there, especially with TikTok. That's just where I'm at with it. Just learning just sometimes you got to go back to scratch, go back to the start point and start over again. And that's what it is sometimes. And so, yeah.
All right.
It's a different way. I got to come.
All right. I think that is all I have for you today. Thank you for being on the show. And anytime you need a podcast to come back on, that's hopefully not Satan related, you can message me again. You can, how to reach out to me. I will say I am pretty much booked out till November. as of right now. But yeah, thank you for being here, and I do hope you enjoyed this experience. I hope.
Oh yeah, I feel reinvented.
Yeah, and then thank you guys for watching. I hope we enjoyed today's episode, and until next week. And thank you again. I'm gonna go like that here.